Hey, everybody. Welcome to the GMI Rocket Show. I'm your host, Roman Zelichenko, former immigration attorney turned entrepreneur. I am the co-founder and CEO of Laborless, an immigration tech company that automates H-1B, visa, and perm compliance, and the founder of GMI Rocket, a digital marketing agency for the immigration and global mobility industry. Today's episode 146. I took a little break for some international travel, so I'm really excited to be back with new episodes. Today's guest is actually joining us from Europe, where I was just a couple of weeks ago. It's Simon Perisanidis, who is the co-founder of a company called Permitree. So Permitree is an AI-based immigration tech company that really was built. So Simon is in Switzerland, so it was built to be a kind of inbound immigration platform to help individuals and companies with immigration coming into Switzerland. Now, Simon and the team have actually expanded. They cover a few countries in Europe, as well as some North American visas, specifically Canada and Mexico. I'm sorry, Canada and the US. So I'm really excited to have Simon on the show. We don't have a lot of folks coming out of Europe too often, so I'm always really interested to see how products in the immigration tech space are growing there, and whether or not they actually expand outside of their country or Europe, which obviously in this case they are. So really excited for the conversation. Before we do get started, I want to say thank you to the main sponsor of this episode, 8 a.m. DocketWise. So if you are an immigration attorney, you probably have heard of DocketWise, but if you haven't, DocketWise is an end-to-end immigration case management platform. They've been around for a long time. They provide best-in-class immigration forms. In fact, some folks use them just for forms, and even if they use other tools for case management, that's how great their forms are. They do have very customizable questionnaires in a lot of different languages, integrations with all sorts of different tools across the industry, including my company, Laborless. They have great customer service. And one of the things that I really appreciate about DocketWise and why I'm so grateful to them for being a sponsor of the show is that they do care about content for the industry. DocketWise themselves have a great blog. They have ebooks that are available for immigration lawyers. They have a podcast on their own. They support programs like this that help provide more information about immigration to the industry. So if you're interested, if you're in the market for an immigration case management or forms management platform, do check them out. There's a link in the show notes, or visit 8am, so the number 8am.com/DocketWise. And if you chat with them, tell them that you heard about them from the GMI Rocket Show. So thank you, DocketWise, but also thank you, Simon, for joining. And I appreciate you being here, and I'm super excited for our conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And I know it's later for you because you're in Switzerland right now in Europe. So thank you for taking the time to record this on a Friday evening. So if I look at you, I say, okay, you're in Switzerland. But if I see your name, it's a Greek last name. So tell me. I know you shared that you originally born in Greece. Now you're in Switzerland. So tell me a little bit about that story. So what was it? You were born in Greece. What was that like for you? And by the way, were you in Athens or somewhere outside of Athens?
Yeah. I think many people in our industry in global mobility have some crazy story like that, some weird origins. So for me, I'm originally Greek. I was born and raised in Greece as a Black person, which is like super random. I don't know if you ever met any other Black Greek before, or you only saw
Giannis in the NBA.
Basically my father is Nigerian, my mother is Greek, and I was born here. Basically Greece is amazing. Of course, like the moment I tell people that I'm from Greece, everyone's like, wow, so nice. I mean, I also think it's super nice, right? Like the food, the people, the sun, everything is amazing. Of course, it's a little homogeneous, I would say. So growing up here as a different person, I always felt like, okay, why do I have to constantly prove that being different is not bad and being different is actually good? From there, I always had this inner feeling that I somehow have to like prove that, you can just be anyone, and some external characteristics cannot define people cannot define who you are. Like you can just shine regardless where you were born, how you were born, and yeah, I think a lot of motivation comes from there.
Do you feel like, I mean, when you were growing up, were you the only like black kid in school, you know,
Yeah,
in Greece, in your class, or kind of in the whole school?
I would say, I mean, in the whole university for sure of 300 people.
Mm.
At school, yeah, like maybe one or two people would be there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like kids treated you differently, or I mean, did you have friends? Like, how did that feel for you? Because obviously, I definitely understand. I mean, you could look at yourself and say, okay, I don't look like everybody else here, and so
Yeah.
you know, you could be. Did you feel that, you know, overall kids were nice, or did you actually you know,
Yeah.
feel different?
I had super nice childhood, to be honest. Like I had very nice friends who loved me. Like we would have amazing time together, of course. But of course, there's these like small incidents that happen in your
Mm-hmm.
daily life where they just make you feel like you're not home,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're born there. Like this, is literally your home. But a kind of daily reminder of, hey, what's going on here? Like, so there's always just this small feeling where, okay, something is off here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why can I not feel like this is my home, even though like that's all I know. All I know is souvlaki, and
All
like
right.
yeah.
I mean, do you have any specific memories, or you know, that you can share that made you maybe feel that way or something? Or was it just, yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it's just daily life, right? Like the moment I speak fluently Greek, people are for 1 second like, and it's always, uh, kind of like random how they will react. Like some people will be totally cool, like, oh yeah, of course, like he speaks Greek. Some people will be like, wow, you speak Greek. Your Greek is so good. Like, how did you
Right.
learn it? I'm like, how did you learn it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, these are small
Yeah.
things that happen in daily life.
And it's interesting because that probably, it's not that they're trying to be mean or come from a bad place, but you grew up there, you were born there, you know, lived there for so much of your life, and it's like every single time you have to do this, you know, it just, yeah, as you said, it's just a reminder. It's probably so annoying
Yeah.
to deal with that. So were you, I mean, were you kind of a good student as a kid? I mean, or were you kind of like one of these kids that sold,
Mm.
you know, bought and sold cards or fixed people's bicycles for, you know?
Not really. I would say I was quite rational as a kid, but I found school to be quite boring. I didn't find it interesting. What I would spend a lot of time on though would be my computer or my sister's laptop even before that. And yeah, the moment I found out about video games, I would just spend countless hours. Like my parents would have to pull me out, and yeah, like my mother was worried because I was spending like endless hours playing video games, and she thought, okay, like because this was something new for that generation, right? Like
Mhm.
that generation, like just like this generation is concerned about TikTok. I think the previous generation of parents was concerned about video games, and uh, funnily enough, many people who turned out to go into computer science were actually obsessed with video games as kids, and I was one of them.
What games did you play? Just out of curiosity.
Uh, um, some MMORPG games, some League of Legends, things like that. Not
Nice.
very proud of them, but it felt fun at the time.
Nothing. Hey, when I was a kid, I had my first system was a Sega Genesis, way back in the day,
Okay.
and then the first system I ever bought myself was a used PlayStation 1, PS1, and
Mm,
I played Final Fantasy. If anybody here is listening and knows what that is,
yeah.
for I think I logged 90 something hours on one of them, on like Final Fantasy
Oof.
7, which is a lot for one game. But I wanted to do all of the side missions. I collected all of the random stuff. Like I would go around, and in those games you have to like train and level up. And so I would do that for a really, really long
Yeah.
time, so that when I had to fight the boss, quote unquote, I was guaranteed to win, because I couldn't stand losing to a boss because it's just such a waste of time. And it's
Yeah.
funny because as an adult, you think about these things and you think to yourself, okay, well, what does that say about me as a person? For example, I know now that I would take really long to be diligent enough so that when I do something for the first time, I do it right. Other people, they go right to the boss and they lose and they go back and they go back, and just different personalities.
Right. Yeah. And in these games as well, like I noticed things of my personality back then that I didn't know how they would evolve in the future. But within, for example, these MMORPGs, you always can join a guild, right? Of people like a party, let's say. And many people will just join them, but I somehow always wanted to build them. So I would build the guild, invite people, fight against other guilds together. So yeah, that's also interesting.
That's interesting. So it's like you had leader, personality traits even then. For some reason, you wanted to do it yourself. You didn't want to join someone else.
Yeah, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't
we have discoveries here on the show. So once you got into computers, obviously, and you said you were a mediocre student, but then you were saying, I guess when you started studying, you learned about computer science. That's when you really figured out that, okay, that's what you want to do in school. That's what exciting to you. Was this in high school, or was it when you actually entered university?
Yeah, it was around high school where I still didn't even know that I want to study computer science. I thought I want to study economics just because my sister studied economics. And yeah, on the side, always at school, I was really creative as a kid. So like, first I would, like when I was very little, I would draw on Paint. Like that would be my favorite software. Then then I learned Photoshop. Then I was making videos online. So I learned Sony Vegas Pro and things like that, how to make videos, how to adjust the audio and all that. So I really liked engineering stuff, but I didn't know that this can translate into computer science. I think also I didn't have enough of inspiration around me. Like there was no role models in in my area, at least, that would teach me that, hey, you would actually be a very good programmer. Like I didn't know that this is a thing. And suddenly, like at a very late stage of high school, like I don't know about the American school system, but in Greece it's like the 8th grade of high school. I just had some. We basically have some national exams where you have to make it into university based on your grades on different courses. And this is where one of the courses was computer science, and I realized that, wait, this is so easy. Like I would just see all my peers struggle, but I would completely like not even study, and I would already understand everything. So there on the side, I got so hooked with it. So I taught myself more programming, because at school we would just learn some very basic like algorithms that are not practical in like pseudo language. If someone knows programming, it's like something that you cannot even like run. But on the side, I taught myself how to make mobile apps, and I made my first app. Published
how old were you?
17.
And what was the app?
It was an app that shows you one quote a day. So like instead of waking up and scrolling through social media, you can see one quote. And it went surprisingly well, actually. Like it went #1 grossing app in its category, even though I had no crazy skills at the time. And it shows that it really doesn't matter how much time you put into the solution. Like if it's really what people need, it's
so you were charging for it?
I wasn't charging; it was free, but there were ads inside. So it would just make me like I don't know, 1 free coffee per week in terms of revenue.
But that was your first business, basically.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the app? I'm just curious. Is it in Greek or was
it's one quote a day?
That's the name of the app.
Yeah.
You know what? I love that. It's genius. Exactly. I don't have to figure out what it is. I know exactly what the app does.
And the app itself is so simple. It's just one button. You click it, shows an app. Next day you get a notification. I guess again you click it and it shows a quote.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. Okay, so you were doing all that in high school. You were realizing that this is something that you like, and obviously you ended up going to university. I mean, in Greece to study basically technology. I mean, I guess it says informatics and telecom, but I'm assuming there's a lot of software engineering and development. So what was that like? Did you expect to stay and then work at a company, or did you already started this little app? I mean, did you already have ideas
Yeah.
of building something of your own?
No, I wouldn't say I was thinking about entrepreneurship at the time. I think this is where I had the most growth of my whole life during my bachelor's, because I went from someone who doesn't really care at all about studies to someone who is obsessed with computer science, and someone who wants to get good grades to get a scholarship abroad, because I really wanted to study abroad.
Mm.
And of course, financially, studying just in a different country like Switzerland, especially in the US with tuitions, right? It will be impossible for my family to afford. So my only way to do that would be to get a scholarship. So there is the time where I joined university. I joined one of the best computer science universities in Greece, I think the best. And I was just the one of the last persons to make it in. Like there is basically a threshold, right, based on your grade that you get in. I was one of the last persons making it in, and 4 years later, I graduated first, like with the best grade. So
Nice.
just these 4 years were quite insane in terms of growth and learning.
But it goes into the same trend of trying to prove something, like, yeah, you came in maybe at the bottom of the threshold of people, but you
Yeah.
didn't let that stop you, and you proved that that doesn't actually matter, and that you can actually
Yeah.
rise to the top from the beginning. I mean, were you able to do any study abroad programs during your bachelor's, or
Not really.
you're not really? So you stayed there,
No, yeah, I was just focused on grades.
yeah, on school. As you started to, as you're finishing up your bachelor's degree, I know obviously shortly afterwards you went to Zurich, which is where you are now, to get your master's. Did you already start to think about going abroad, going outside of Greece, like seriously, now
Uh,
that it's a potential option?
of course, yeah. Like that was the goal since the beginning. And I think at this point as well, I started more being interested about entrepreneurship. I didn't even know it's called entrepreneurship at the time. I don't
Right.
know. My bubble of in the internet didn't uh, maybe give me enough hints about what I like. So I
Hmm.
discovered everything quite late, like computer science, entrepreneurship. But yeah, I was still making some apps and stuff. I got a scholarship in the end to study at ETH Zurich, which is in computer science is top 5 in the world in terms of masters.
Hmm.
And already by the time I made it to my masters, I knew I want to build a startup at this point.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So tell me about the process, because you're now in the immigration space. Obviously,
Yeah.
as a Greek national, you don't need a visa, a work visa, or a student visa to go to Switzerland, but you still move to a new country. There's the
Yeah.
language, there's a different culture. I mean, it's quite different. So I don't know, what was that like for you? Because you're also 19 years old, I guess, or probably
Yeah.
20, 21, 22 years old at this time, moving, I guess, for the first time, right, out of Greece,
Yeah.
and by yourself.
Yeah. In the beginning, it doesn't really feel like immigrating because the whole experience of the university is a thing of its own, right? Like you're suddenly in an environment of very international people from all over the world whose goal is just to study. So you don't really experience the country as much. Of course, I had friends who are Swiss and stuff, but still, like the real world, I think happens after you're done with uni and you have to get a job and you experience the actual life of how it is living abroad.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, you're just in your international bubble of having fun with other people like you, your age, and same aspirations.
What about the language
And
barrier? How is that? I mean, obviously you speak great English, and so were you when you were studying, was the program in English, or was it in Swiss German?
the language was math. That was the language barrier.
Mm.
Like actually, the moment I got into data science, I realized how math heavy it was, and that was actually the biggest barrier. Like we
Mm.
went to like the first courses I went, I was surprised by how theoretical the studies are. I think any language would just like not matter at this point. Like
Mm.
you just go to the first lecture and already professor is like, good morning. Okay. Here we just take the joint distribution function of this density. And I was like, wait, these are things that I barely remember.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but yeah, I think in the beginning, language barrier was not a thing during the studies. Later, I actually landed the job after my studies where it was a huge issue. I accidentally joined a role where it was passed to me as an English-speaking role, but it turned out after I joined that it was a German-speaking role, and that was quite a nightmare. I don't wish this upon anyone, but yeah, there I had the full immigrant experience, I would say.
So what happened? I mean, how did that even happen?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for a job after my studies, and yeah, I found that basically there was a team. I don't want to call it a company. I even actually removed it from my LinkedIn to not like expose them or anything. But there is a big company in Switzerland where there was a new AI team that they were building, and it was passed to me as a whoa, it's actually like more like entrepreneurship. We're trying to build a startup within this company, and English is totally fine. We all speak English. You might only need German if you at some point, like later on. Of course, our company is German, so if you want to speak someone outside the team, then you might need German. And then I was like, yeah, sure, sounds amazing. The tech itself that they were using was super interesting to me at the time, and was things that I wanted to learn. So I joined, and since the first meeting, I joined the meeting, and my teammates are like, English or German? I'm like, English, and they're like, oh, I'm not sure. The manager is okay with English, but I will ask him. And basically, yeah, then the manager decides after I joined that actually no, we do all the meetings in German, and good luck with you learning. So I was just there trying to onboard in a new company, like a new technology, new architecture, and every meeting was in German. So that was quite crazy, like quite excluding. I had to use Microsoft Teams transcribe. Like I had to transcribe what they're saying and use
in real time.
In real time to understand what's going on.
That's terrible.
So yeah, and as if this was not enough, in week 3, he tells me, okay, from now on, you should only speak German, because otherwise, how will you learn? I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
So, and my German, okay, it's okay. At this point, it was improving. So I could, instead of speaking like a 4-year-old, at this point, I was speaking like a 12-year-old. But of course, you don't want to use your 12-year-old German in your corporate job.
Right. Wow. That's terrible. How long did you last there? I'm assuming you left the company.
I just lasted 3 months. I was thinking of how to just probably leave the company at some point, but I didn't even make it through. Like they fired me first for language barrier, which is the whole reason like they hired me, right? So that was an experience.
So it's interesting because and I don't know obviously for sure, because you'll never know, but you're sharing your experience as somebody who, even though you were born in Greece, your dad's Nigerian, you were made to feel even in some way that you're kind of different, right? You're earlier in life. Part of me wonders if this was a similar situation where they were like, maybe they felt a certain way about it and they kind of set this up. I mean, I'm just making it's a conspiracy theory, but I that was the first thing that came to mind right after you shared what you shared, because if a corporate says it's going to be in English, it better be in English. I mean, if you said this on your job description and I told you specifically during the interview and you said it's okay, and then for them to fire you later is just, is wrong, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I even had all the 4 interviews in English. Like everything was in English. And then, I think it's just, I don't know, poor management. I think that manager was also new. So yeah. It's okay.
So tell me about, so after this, you obviously, you were working for a little bit. You were, I guess, fired or let go. And then you started your first bit. I mean, I guess you probably realized I'm not going to work for anybody. I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
started your first company, Lumia, which I think is really
Yes.
really interesting based on everything that you've been sharing so far. So tell us a little bit about what was Lumia and sort of what were you
Yeah.
trying to solve with that company?
Yeah. It just for context, this actually happened before this job. So like right
Oh,
after the
gotcha.
studies, first I built Lumia, then I
Wow.
joined this job and another job, and then Permitree. So yeah, during my studies, like as I said, like being born different, I always felt like, okay, why do some things that we are born with have to define our potential, have to define our lives? And like my whole life, I really hate this kind of. So I naturally got more into sociology, social impact, trying to see how can I promote equal opportunities. And by the time I finished my master's, I realized that I have the tools. Like I'm at this point an expert in AI, and there is actually intersection of AI and social impact. Like I can actually build a social impact startup that can do the impact that I want to see in the world. Um, so it started with Lumia. The premise was uh, that we want to eliminate unconscious biases. So basically, I did a whole research, I did my whole master thesis on creating a very complex algorithm that can measure unconscious biases in recruitment in a causal way. So in order to help recruiters, of course, hire the best talent, and so that they are not affected by other factors like so basically how it works is um, like recruiters of course go through CVs when they're screening. At this point it's probably more AI rather than humans, but a
Yeah.
few years ago we still use humans in screening. And of course you want to make sure that you're not missing anyone. You're really hiring based on their experience, based on their skills, based on their education and certifications, and you're not influenced by where they come from, what's their race, gender, age. And I created an algorithm that can measure with causal effect whether this is the case, and it can give you feedback about your own unconscious biases, so you can explore how fair you are and how you can improve as a recruiter. So
Was
that
the
was
idea was the idea that companies would be using this while they're hiring people to make sure they're hiring the right person, or was it sort of a self-development tool for recruiters just to be better?
yeah, it was kind of a moonshot. What we call it is a moonshot kind of idea, because
Yeah.
we want to sell directly to enterprises, because enterprises are the ones who are hiring a lot of people and have this
Yeah.
volume where this would make sense. If you're a smaller company, you don't have the volume that
Yeah.
for this tool to be used. And yeah, from there, we realized that two things. First of all, unconscious biases, as the name says, is unconscious. This means, like, when you want to build a startup, you want the problem you're solving to be so bad, like so painful, that if it was a fire on someone's head, they would just grab a brick to distinguish it, right? But the problem we were solving is unconscious biases. So
Right.
no one would, like, basically all the sales we did, everyone would be so excited about what we're building, and everyone would be like, "Wow, this is so needed. I know someone who needs this definitely," but no one said, "Okay, I need it. Like, when can I have this?" Or no one says like, "Hey, today I woke up so biased against women. Like, can you please help me?"
Right.
So on paper, it was a very good idea, and it was super nice to build this whole product from scratch. It was super complicated, like full stack AI application. Uh, but yeah, in practice, it didn't work for that reason. And the second thing I learned through this is that uh, apart from unconscious biases, there is quite conscious bias based on someone's nationality, for the reason that uh, you'd have to sponsor their visa, right?
Right.
It's a whole process, so expensive, so time consuming. So of course you would prefer not to do that. And this is a hint for how Permitree started.
Yeah. It's interesting because honestly, with my business, we started as a product that is a compliance. I mean, we still are a product that's a compliance software, and it's not exactly the same. But nobody wants to admit that their compliance process isn't good and that they need help. Right? They
Yeah.
might, to your point, they might say this sounds like a really nice idea. I'm sure there's some firms out there that need it, but not us. We have everything
Yeah.
down. Because if you're admitting that, that's just that's a psychological barrier that is hard to get through. So it's kind of funny and interesting how that happened to you as well. I feel like when stuff like this really sells, when there's a mandate from corporate. If corporate says, okay, the industry is there's research that says there's bias in hiring. We as a leading organization wherever, we want to make sure that we are telling the world that we're fighting it, and so we are going to use your software. Like, I think that's when stuff like this really works. By the way, it's the same for us now. On our side in the US, there's a lot of if you follow the news at all about US immigration, the current administration is really tough on immigration, even work visas, and there's a lot of fear around compliance. And so now it's more justified for a firm to invest in this because it's coming from the top down, from like the government down, saying you better really clean up all your compliance processes. So it's it's a tough sales cycle, but it's also a really good lesson, right? It's a good sales lesson, I feel, which obviously we'll talk about in a minute, because I think what's really interesting is, so far, you've had this experience of obviously building your own tools, and building your own apps and products, moving and feeling a little bit of this immigration kind of life of an immigrant, even though you didn't go through a visa process, and then realizing that you probably wanted to start your own business. So before we, jump into what the company does, I know you shared a story with me earlier about your roommate I guess at ETH, in Zurich, who, sort of started to have his own visa maybe challenges or issues, and that was a realization. Can you share a little bit about that story? Because to me, it was really interesting in terms of the foundation of why Permitree exists.
Yeah, and it's all lining up, like all these things I said about Lumia, realizing how hard visas are, looking for my next startup idea, and at the same time, one of the most exceptional people I met during my whole studies, who happens to also be my flatmate, is finishing his studies and is looking for a job. So I thought companies would just instantly hire him, no questions asked. Like, he finds a job in a startup, and he tells me, okay, can you just check the post for when my permit comes, because I will be out of town. And I'm like checking, waiting. Turns out it took them so long. They tried to do the process themselves. They did everything wrong. The authorities were asking for more documents, more explanations, and in the end, it took them 3 months to hire him. 3 months, while I was checking all the time the post for when his permit comes, and it was just a very I kind of lived this experience with him because I was seeing him every day and lived through his stress as well. And yeah, this is where you see like how a process can affect a human life, and like how important this problem that we're solving is.
And also, I guess, how companies, when they do it themselves without much guidance, you could run into issues, and because that happens in the US as well. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to take a quick pause and just say thank you to the second sponsor of this episode, which is Lex Reception. So Lex Reception, for immigration lawyers or legal, really, frankly, any professionals, even outside of the immigration space. Lex Reception is a legal intake, reception, and client support service. They answer phone calls and messages in real time. They help schedule appointments for people who call in to inquire about your law firm. And they basically provide immigration law firms with 24/7 legal answering specialists, so that a lawyer doesn't have to worry about missing mail or phone calls, emails or phone calls from a prospect or a client. Also, Lex Reception can sort of be an outbound sales team. So if you have folks that are reaching out through your website, form, or through social media, Lex Reception can give you staff to help you reach out to those people proactively. They also integrate with a number of legal tech platforms, Clio, Practice Panther, LawPay, and a lot of other major companies that immigration law firms and lots of other law firms in the US use. So for anybody who's watching, Lex Reception is offering $250 off your first month of service. So if you're interested in checking them out, learning about them, obviously visit their website, lexreception.com. But there's a link in the show notes specifically with that $250 off. So check them out, and thank you, Lex Reception, for supporting the show. Okay, Simon, so you've had all these experiences, you've built a company, you've also had your own, let's say mishaps with corporate environments when you realized, okay, I need to start my own business. And then of course your roommate, your flatmate, who had his own kind of immigration challenges and timeline issues and whatnot. And so how did you start working on what would become Permitree?
Yeah, I was looking for a co-founder at the time, and I would say that's the luckiest moment of my life. Kind of, I was meeting with people, telling them what I want to build. Of course, exploring also more fields, not just immigration, but maybe education. It can be like I opened up a little bit just to be able to meet more people. But then I explained to one person, like, okay, I want to automate immigration. Like, I want to use AI to solve this problem. Most people would not relate, but one person was like, wait, you should speak with my girlfriend. I was like, okay, let me meet her. So we meet, and she was exactly doing the exact same thing from her side, telling everyone that she wants to build something with automation immigration, and no one would get her. And she has we have completely complementary skills. We were aligned since day one what we want to build.
Wow.
She has amazing background, super smart, and I really admire my co-founder Hannah. So yeah, we were just very aligned, and started working together. First, we did some toy projects just to see how well we work together, and then started on Permitree.
So tell me, when you first launched or when you first started working on Permitree, what was the vision? Because obviously, if someone visits your website now, permitree.com,
Yeah.
they'll see that there's language about automating business immigration into a variety of countries. Did you start with Switzerland? I mean, was that the original plan, or was the original plan to really do the whole world or as much as possible, but use Switzerland as a jumping off point?
Yeah, of course. I think in our industry, it was clear what we want to build, right? We just wanted to make immigration as easy as possible, apply AI, and make it more transparent, more fast, more seamless as it should be in 2025 at the time. It's 2026. So yeah, we started with automating the casework itself in Switzerland. We started by the easiest client in the beginning was law firms, immigration law firms. So we started selling AI assisted case management software to lawyers in the beginning, and then started at the same time selling to companies directly, having a combination of AI and legal experts and a platform where everything is much easier for them. So that was the first steps how we started.
By the way, when you started selling to the corporates, did you then stop selling to the immigration lawyers, or did you ever use those immigration lawyers to actually help the corporates if they needed help?
We didn't stop. I mean, the market is big enough. They are still using our software, nice. And yeah, they have their clients. We have our clients.
I have some Swiss immigration lawyers I want to introduce you to if you're still working with lawyers. So how did that go? I mean, what was because look, from my perspective, immigration tech it's a challenge, right? I mean, there is a lot of at least in the US, there are a lot of different players. It's hard for a company to trust a young
Mhm.
startup,
Yeah.
even for lawyers. And so what was the process like for you? You came out there and you said, look, to law firms and to companies saying that we have a technology. How was the reception? Was it something that they liked? Or was it something that they were skeptical
Mhm.
of? Because again, and I'm asking this because I started this show now 6 years ago, which is crazy, 146 episodes ago, because when I was
Oh,
launching my business in the immigration industry, I didn't have anywhere to go to try to
yeah.
understand what to expect. How does the sales
Mm.
process work? How do I sell immigration? You know what I mean? And so obviously now there's been so many companies, yours included, that have been doing this kind of work. And so I guess I'm always curious to hear, especially in a new market, what is the reception for immigration
Mm.
technology and for especially now in the age of AI? So, yeah, I mean, what do you remember from those early days about kind of the sales process? How did that go for you?
Yeah. Um, of course, in the beginning, there is a lot of pushback, a lot of conservative thoughts against AI, especially in a country like Switzerland, which is always more on the secure side and on the conservative side. I think what helped a lot, of course, is being in a community of founders. So I think it doesn't have to be people who are selling exactly the same thing as you, right? Like immigration. It can also be people who are in adjustment fields. Like we have some friendly startups who are automating other legal services, or it can be any type of service. And I was in a community of founders in Zurich that spawned out of the university, where we spend a lot of time working at the same space and sharing insights with each other. It's called JFloor, in case
Mhm.
that's relevant. And and yeah, I think this is where a lot of learnings came from. Of course, most learnings come from doing, but also it's amazing to have people you can learn from around you. Of course, in the beginning, there was a lot of pushback, like, okay, you cannot automate immigration; it takes a lot of nuance. What we are automating are the boring parts that no one wants to do anyway. Like, we want
Right.
to give power to our users uh, to not be gate kept uh, by information that they should have access to.
Mhm.
So uh, when it comes to selling to companies, uh, of course, going from 0 to 1 is hard always. Um, and how, like, what worked for us well is that we have an eligibility check. This is something very easy, and this is something that we actually just launched in more countries. So it started with Switzerland, and we launched it in 11 countries right now, and people can go use it. It's super easy. So we saw that the first step is very like the first step that many people ignore is very time consuming, very confusing, very uncertain, which is checking the eligibility of a candidate.
Mhm.
Okay, I have this person. He's the best person who applied. Uh, I want them right now, but I have no clue. Okay, which visa should we pursue? How long will it take? What are the risks? What are not? So we actually automated this part and made it as simple as possible. Um, so right now you just put the CV or the LinkedIn profile of the candidate, and you get super clear report about, okay, this is the suggested visa, these are the risks, and this is what to do about them. This is how long
Mhm.
it will take. This is what you do. This is what the candidate does. This is the documents you will need. These are other alternative routes that you can hire them from. So this is super valuable, whether you're a founder or a global mobility manager, and you want to do this check quickly without having uh, to ask someone and wait like days until they reply.
How many
So that's
countries?
where it started. That's how.
How many countries do you cover? Because I know the
Uh,
eligibility check still exists, but you have to
yeah,
know all the different permutations of
yeah,
facts about where they are coming from and where they're going.
yeah. We're covering 11 countries right now, including the usually the countries where most cross-border movement happens. So this is the US, UK, Germany, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland, Ireland, Singapore, and yeah, it works.
And what about eligibility? I mean,
Yeah.
so basically, regardless of where the candidate is from, you
Yes.
have all the information. If I'm from Chile or Zimbabwe or Malaysia, doesn't matter.
Mhm. Yeah, of course. It depends on more where you're going,
Mhm.
and um, basically how we did this is we tried to simulate the knowledge work that would be done by a lawyer at the time. Like, what are the restrictions of every visa? What are the rejection reasons? What are possible outcomes? These are data that are online, but there is also data that is not online
Mhm.
that you learn through experience. And we mapped them into our system for every single country, and we made our system build decision trees based on these laws in order to make these assessments in minutes.
Hmm. Do you have immigration professionals in these countries that help confirm things? Because
Yes.
and I mean I know that's a more of a challenging question, but I think a lot of times what I imagine a corporate or a law firm ask is, can I trust the output?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it works. We collaborate closely with lawyers to validate the outcomes.
Mhm.
Uh, um, First, we created a prototype, and for every country, we have local experts who review it and told us about the quality, about how to adjust it, um, so that we can make the most accurate result possible.
So great. So I'm a company and I've done an assessment. Now what? Does Permitree now allow me to file for certain work permits or work visas? And then if yes,
Exactly.
do I work through the platform or do I work with like an immigration provider in that country who
Yeah.
uses the platform?
Yeah. So you do the assessment. We already have some data about your candidates since you just put them there. So you're just now you're just one click away from, okay, hey, let's start. So then you have the option, if you want to meet a person and do a quick debrief about your case, like let's say 15 minutes, uh, a legal expert, so to say, or you want to directly dive into the software and you already upload your documents and start the process. Um, yeah, so we have some in-house experts in some countries, and in some countries they are uh, uh, outsourced.
Contractors. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. And so who's like the ideal customer or client? Is it still both lawyers and corporates? Can an individual use you as well? Can they sign up if you're a candidate or yeah.
Yeah. The the customer we're focusing the most on right now are companies. So uh, it can be fast growing startups who are hiring talent. Like, there is of course a lot of fields where there is skill shortage and you cannot find the talent locally, and you need this talent in person, especially in certain industries like mechanical engineering, robotics, aviation, or it can also have to do with just company culture of you prefer working in person. So in these cases, you just need to hire someone from abroad, and these are the companies we are helping. We're trying to make everything much simpler to the standards that they expect. Uh, so instead of like exchanging emails and doing things manually, you can already get instant feedback within the platform. Like, you upload documents, you get instant feedback about um, what is wrong, what is right. If there is any revision you need to make, you can instantly you will instantly know, so you can make the change. So you don't have to wait a few days until some expert reviews this. And then yeah, just the whole workflow is much faster. And of course, at the end of the day, a legal expert will review everything to make sure that everything is correct, because it's a very high stakes decision. Of
Of course.
course, we're
And
just
then
making sure it's fast.
of course does it get filed through the platform? I mean, I guess it depends on the country, right? Because, for
Yeah.
example, in the US, you can't file everything electronically, for example.
Yeah, of course.
There are
Yeah.
many applications you still have to print and send in the mail,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. It's really not even just country specific. It's even within countries there is differences. Like we actually started from Switzerland when we first started, which was it still is actually the most complex country we could start from, because there's 26 different cantons, which is like different regions basically within Switzerland, and there's four different languages, like three actually, like mostly used in immigration. And yeah, you even based on the canton, you might sometimes have a digital form that you have to like fill. Sometimes might be a PDF form. Sometimes in some cantons you have to send it by post. So yeah, it's a mix. But the good thing is that the user doesn't have to worry about it. Like that's the magic, right? You just upload the documents and let Permitree handle everything.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think you make a really good point here about how you can have as amazing of technology and the most advanced AI, but if the actual government processes are this different and disconnected, it is still tough to make software around it. If the government
Yeah.
requires you to file paper, you have to file paper.
Yeah.
But so what are you guys like, I guess as we start wrapping up, what are you excited about in the future? I mean, is it expanding into more countries? Is it providing maybe a different service in the same countries? Like what's on the roadmap that you can share at least?
Yeah, we are actually currently expanding to the US. So we really love the fact that we launched our eligibility check already, and it's used and people love it. And we're looking forward to hearing more feedback, see how well this also fits bigger companies, because there's smaller companies who of course don't have a global mobility manager. There's bigger companies where global mobility manager would actually find it super useful, right? Because there is like the process there is different. You have the recruiter or the HR team who finds a talent, and let's say you have 500 applications, like maybe 100 of them you're not sure if they need a visa or not. Then you have to ask your global mobility manager. They will have to ask the immigration vendor. Immigration vendor replies within like 2 or 3 business days and charges you based on their hourly fee, an unpredictable fee. But we want to see how well also this fits with bigger companies who can do these checks instantly. And yeah, we're super excited to see what's coming.
Do you think that because you started in Europe, you would be more helpful to a company that has a global presence? Because, for example, in the US, there are many companies that hire foreign nationals inbound into America, but they don't have offices in, let's say, Europe. And so they don't need outbound services. And so an immigration tech company that only does US is good enough for them. You guys have this interesting perspective where you actually started in Europe. And so, if you support, let's say, American or Canadian companies who also have offices across Europe, you can already sort of automate the immigration that's going outbound outside of the US or just across Europe as well. So is that kind of, are you guys, maybe targeting companies that have a global presence?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the goal. We are building a global company, and this is in a few years going to be an agent that can reliably answer everything about every jurisdiction and handle every case. In the future, I think it's very exciting how things are evolving and how technology is enabling to open such doors. So basically, I imagine in the future, I don't think people are going to click on screens anymore. I think most clicks will be done by agents. At the same time, agents will have the right knowledge to collaborate with each other. So we want the agents that the HRs are using to communicate with our immigration agent and just have access to all the information they need.
So basically connect.
But that's of course like a longer vision. Right now, of course, there's steps to get there.
But it makes sense. I mean, companies are holding a lot of information in their HR systems, and if you can connect to those systems and, you know, leverage that information to make automated decisions on the immigration side, it can be even faster. It's interesting. I mean, I'm also curious and excited to see how things work over the next 3 to 5 years, or with especially with how much AI has changed the immigration landscape, and companies like yours who are really starting global. I'll tell you, I mean, and saying this live, a lot of US companies in the past, I don't know about now, have raised venture capital money under the promise that they'll start in the US and they'll, you know, build a really great immigration technology company that's inbound into the US, and then they'll take it and copy paste around the world and build a huge global company. And you made a really good point. You want to move it to Switzerland, you can't just take what you've built in America and use it in Switzerland. There's 3 different official languages. There's, we said 29 cantons, 26 cantons. Like, you know, some of them are physical, some of them are paper, some of them are email, whatever. You have to actually be an expert in every single region in order to build something global. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how that continues to expand over the coming years. Maybe AI will be really good at making that happen. Maybe it won't. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
What are you, so I guess as a final question, you know, what's advice that you're listening to right now? You know, so instead of saying what advice would you give somebody, what's some advice that you are actively kind of listening to at the moment, where given where you are with the business?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I would have a better answer if I gave it more thought. But I think just pushing forward, like every move you make, every step you make is pushing the needle ahead. So just don't overthink things. Just go do it. Go, if you want to build a startup, build a startup. If you want to start your own business, if you want to ask someone out, like, I don't know, you just have to do.
Just take act, just do it, as Nike says. Just do it. I love that. No, that's great advice. And you know what, we launched Laborless 9 years ago, more than 9 years ago, and I still feel that way every single day. I have ideas and I have to remind myself, just go for it. Like, just do it. Because the only way you'll find out if it's a good idea or not is if you actually try and the market either tells you yes or no. So I love that. Simon, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time and joining me all the way from Switzerland. Yeah, of course. And I'm excited to watch you grow, and I'm excited to see how you continue to expand across Europe, and then of course as you're entering the North American market, how that goes. And so where can folks reach you? I know, of course, on LinkedIn. Can they find you on your website as well?
Yeah, my LinkedIn is always open. If someone wants to connect, send me a message. I love meeting people, especially in the industry. Yeah, otherwise our website is just our name.com, so permitree.com.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Simon. Appreciate it. And I'll let you have a glass of, I don't know what you guys drink in Switzerland, wine. And
Uzo or
Uzo. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Efharisto, my friend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We got a bunch of comments, actually, which I didn't get to. But Angie Weinberger said, looking forward. So thank you, Angie, for commenting and for joining. We also had Tracy say, good question. I'm not sure which question you're referring to here, but glad it was a good question, and I'm happy that the answer was helpful. Please, leave more comments. I'm sure Simon will go in and answer some of these questions later. And of course, if you're interested in, if you're in the European market, especially, or if you want to learn more, and you're based in the U.S. or Canada, please reach out to Simon Permitree. Check out what they're working on. So before we finish, I just want to say thank you one more time to DocketWise. And again, DocketWise is an end-to-end immigration case management system that has immigration forms, customizable questionnaires in a ton of different languages, integrations with a lot of different industry-leading products, including Laborless, my own company, great customer service. DocketWise has amazing resources too for immigration lawyers who want to learn more about the practice, who want to change practice. There are blogs about marketing and sales. They have ebooks that are really helpful. They have a podcast. So, DocketWise is a really wonderful resource, not just as a tech company, but also as a source of information. So please check them out. Check the link in the bio or visit them at 8am.com/DocketWise and tell them you heard about them from the GMI Rocket Show. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you joining, tuning in. I will see you next week on the next episode. And in the meantime, have an awesome weekend, everybody. Take care and peace out.